later.
Welcome, guys, to yet another episode of the Beyond 90 Minute podcast. And to be honest, recently, it's been more of most me doing these 10, 15 minute videos or some stuff. So I only call them episodes, because it's not exactly a little different. It's just more like little videos of me reacting onto Casey comes back. And speaking of Casey, though, you all might know my co-host Casey. We do this podcast together, and today is his birthday actually. So I want you all to wish him a happy birthday. Long life, prosperity, all the works. And normally it's his birthday. He should be getting a day off, so he's not here today, right? And that's alright, that's cool. But issues that he hasn't been here for 3 weeks, so at this point I don't even necessarily understand. But first, his birthday. Let me just let him off. So on today's show, we're talking about the latest transfer rumors. Let's see which club should sign, who your club should sign, and also let's just take a little look at the Club World Cup, because personally I think it's. Just let me know what you think, because honestly speaking, I actually don't see the point of it. You're just elongating a season for people to play under the hot sun in LA. I don't know, it just feels a little weird. But we'll talk about the so much that have happened, basically to get your thoughts on it, right? So before I get into all of that, there was something I wanted to just quickly discuss with you all, so you guys let me know what you think. So there was a video that Rooney had, right, where he was reacting to something. I think we were asking him some questions, and they asked him, I think it was basically is he better than so player, right? And they were like, him or Neymar, and he was like, he's better than Neymar. And some people came out and they were like, how the hell can Rooney say he's better than Neymar? How the hell can Rooney say he's better than Neymar? And I'm like, can you relax? Yes, Rooney is better than Neymar. Bro, do people know that when Rooney, for starters, was on 7 consecutive FIFA covers for a reason, because he is that guy. Look at all the years Rooney had in Manchester United, winning Premier Leagues, winning the Champions League, FA Cups, everything. And if you compare it with Neymar, right? Obviously, Barcelona Neymar was insane. PSG Neymar too was decent. But Neymar, I would say, had 3 years. I think he was in Barcelona for 4 or 5 years. But he had 3 years where he was excellent, and then obviously he had his PSG years. But Neymar's prime was a lot shorter than Rooney's prime. Neymar didn't win as much as Rooney won, So as long as in people's minds here, just because Neymar is well liked, we'll sort of assume that in this whole generation that we're in, after Ronaldo and after Messi, maybe the next person up it should be Neymar. And sometimes you just think about it and you're like, no, I won't lie, that maybe pick Neymar is better than pick Rooney. Ultimately, you guys let me know what you think in the comments, right? But career-wise, Rooney is a lot better. Rooney was a lot more versatile. Rooney could play on the wings, Rooney could play centre forward. You've seen different versions of Rooney. You've seen versions of Rooney with Ronaldo where he wasn't the main guy, but he and Ronaldo were having this 2-man whatever. And then we had versions of Rooney where Rooney was the main guy and carried United for years to win Premier League, win FA Cups, and win the Champions League. So ultimately, I just don't subscribe to this whole view of Neymar being better than Rooney. But let me know what you think. And to piggyback off that, I saw another one where they were I actually saw this one on Instagram. I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw one. They were Suarez or Henry, and I really want to know what you guys think about that, because I think Premier League wise, I'm not going to lie, I'm not as old as you guys might think, even though the beard might be a little deceiving. I didn't get to watch Prime Henry, right? But obviously, I see clips, I see stats, I see everything. And from what I've seen, my whole, what I deduce from that is, I believe Henry is the best Premier League football player of all time. That's what I think. I think Henry is the most complete player to ever play in Premier League. That's what I think. Right, so maybe some of you watched him, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I got from it. Even though peak-wise, I think Ronaldo had the best peak in Premier League. I just feel throughout their whole careers and obviously the length of everything, I think Henry is the best player playing Premier League. So Suarez is very, very interesting, because ultimately I was having an argument with some guys on the gym on Saturday where we're arguing Suarez or Akore or whatever, and people were like, Akore is better than Suarez because the only thing that Suarez had was with Messi. And right, and I think a lot of people discredit Suarez because of that. They're because he played with Messi kept on setting him up, and Suarez isn't as good as people think he is. They're okay, if this striker played with Messi, he'd be a lot better than what Suarez is. So that's what Suarez had, to his credit, right? And I ultimately disagree with that, right? In the Barcelona sense, I disagree with that. But whatever makes it dumber to me is when people say that, I think they completely, and I mean completely, Sorry, I do feel like they completely forget Suarez in Liverpool. Which 2013, 2014 Luis Suarez. Jeez. 2012, 2013 Luis Suarez. Jeez. Like, I understand if you want to discredit Suarez for playing with Messi, that's fair. But don't forget that Suarez in Liverpool was insane. Ridiculous. Like, that's 2013, 2014 season. Like, if we're talking peaks of like strikers, like I'm talking this is like top 5, if not even top 3. So Suarez has that. Plus, look at things that Suarez has won. Obviously, both have won a Champions League. Both played with Messi in Henry and Suarez's case. Honestly speaking, I don't know. I think obviously each to his own, but ultimately Henry did win a World Cup and some other things. So I guess achievement-wise, it's in Henry's favor. I think all-time goals, I think Suarez shades it. But let me know what you guys think, because right now I don't even have an opinion, because it's something that has been in my mind since I saw it. Right? Even when I said, first thing I wanted to say was Henry is definitely better. But when you think about it a bit more, you now realize that Suarez was actually really, really good. He's actually really, really good. Obviously, he's still playing now, but obviously he's not the Pistolero we used to know. So let me know what you guys think. I'm not even going to give an opinion on that. I just think it's very, very interesting. So let's get into the transfer talk, the main thing for this episode. So I think the first thing I want to touch on is Arsenal. Yes, because I don't understand something about Arsenal, right? Because after the season they had last year, right, I'd imagine that this season operation win the Premier League at all cost. That's what I expected, right? So it's a little surprising where we're already a couple weeks in the transfer market and Arsenal haven't bought anybody. And I understand why Arsenal fans are a little frustrated about that. But what I would say is, I think people need to realize that it's still June. Like, it's still June. There's still time to do business. Right? I get that, but I see both sides at the end of the day. Like, I see why Arsenal fans are clamoring, like, we need more players. Because I'd imagine that the first player they would have gotten in is a striker. But you know, fair, Zubimendi is an exceptional player. You bring him in. But what's next? They've linked to Rodrigo, Nico Williams. Those two are not going to happen. Rodrigo is staying at Madrid, Nico Williams wants to go to Barcelona. That's not going to happen. And the striker situation, right? It's crazy to me how, with all this time they've had, and I think Arsenal and Arteta would have known they needed a striker since January, right? And obviously they brought in their new sporting director in I think he came in like around May, June. I think it was like April, May, I'm not even sure. But I think it's a little embarrassing when till now you don't even know the striker that you want. I'll talk on Gyokores a bit actually, because as a Manchester United fan, he really, really hurts me. But let me know what you guys think as Arsenal fans, because with Sesko and with Gyokores, right, you need to know who you're going for now. And what we keep hearing is that Arsenal are still debating which one to go for. Do they want to go for Sesko? Do they want to go for Gyokores? But last time I was here, I obviously had nice. I feel like if you're an Arsenal fan, you should be getting Gyokores. Why? I think Gyokores is the more proven player. But ultimately, if you think Sesko is the player that you want, get him in. Why not get him in? So, as I said, for Arsenal's point of view, after that, what do they need? Obviously, they still need a right winger. So I'm interested to see, a left winger. So I'm interested to see if they eventually fill in that position, and maybe another fallback, I guess. So let's see how that goes up. And then with Gyokores here, as Manchester United fans, how are you all feeling for the news that came out on Saturday? That came out that Gyokores is giving preference to an Arsenal move. I see a lot of people saying, good, right? He should fuck off. Nobody wants him anymore. Like, if he wants to play for Arsenal, let him play for Arsenal. Like, we are not second options. And I totally agree. I feel like we can't buy Gyokores anymore. Not because he isn't a good player, but because we know that he didn't want to be here. And we've had a situation with Di Maria, we've had a situation with Alexis Sanchez where they just came here because ultimately that was the deal that their club accepted. They didn't want to play for us. So if we still proceed and purchase Gyokores, if indeed Arsenal end up going for Sesko, Gyokores will score goals for us, I agree, but any single time he has a bad game, everybody is going to say, oh, you should not go to Arsenal. We all know you're thinking about Arsenal. So I just think he has the recipes of just being a terrible deal. I think we should stay far clear from it. And there was a report come out where he was like, Gyokores is upset that his preference got leaked. Which I'd imagine so, because that is literally the number one thing you should never ever do. You can't come out and say you're going to want him, especially when that team isn't even 100% sure of buying you. So Manchester United, where do we pivot to, right? Do we go for Osimehn, which obviously I have always said Osimehn is a better player than him. I want Osimehn. I would love to see Osimehn at Manchester United. Speaking of Osimehn, though, if you all know, he was actually in Nigeria last week. And my mom saw him reduce it back. I did not follow her that day because I was supposed to follow her for something. And sad. When I would have asked him when he coming to Man United, obviously he would have asked her, but like maybe something will give away in his case. I don't know. But on Osimehn, right? I'm hearing clubs linked to Osimehn, right? But if Manchester United could get Osimehn in, I'm telling you, this guy could be the difference between us finishing like 9th or 10th to like pushing for top. For that's how good I think Osimehn is. I think Osimehn is the best striker available at the moment. But why don't I think this deal can happen, right? I just think, one, there are better clubs than us that are linked to Osimehn, like with better financial packages. Because first things first, I'm hearing he wants to play in Champions League. We don't have that. So maybe a Chelsea, maybe a Liverpool, I don't know. Two, financially, I know Osimehn wants a lot of money. I'm hearing stupid amounts, which is why yesterday I also saw that Saudi might even still come back for him. So I don't know, but ultimately, if you sell Osimehn the product, you have Cunha, and Mbeumo is going to come, Bruno is going to be behind you. You will score goals. So I don't think Osimehn would be against going to Manchester United. It just depends on if Manchester United can do all they can to get that deal done. Because I don't want Ekitike. I'm here not linked to Ekitike. I think he's a very good player. He's a very good player because I've known Ekitike since he was in Rams, or how do you pronounce it? I know he didn't do well when he got to PSG, but I liked Ekitike then, and I followed him at Frankfurt as well. But the issue I have with Ekitike is any single time we spend 100 million on a player, it goes bad. If Ekitike was available for like 50, 60 million, I would absolutely love him because I think he's a very, very good striker. But if you're buying someone like him that it isn't as good as a Gyokores and Osimehn for a higher cost, it's pressure because immediately when he comes in and he doesn't score in his first 3 years, everybody's like, oh, look at a 100 million player that Manchester United bought. Because every single time we spend a lot of money, you can see Pogba. Basically, I don't know what you guys think, whether you think that deal was a fail or not. Let me know what you think. But with Anthony especially, was Anthony a bad player for Manchester United? Of course he was, but I don't think he was as bad as people made it seem. The issue was we bought him for 100 million. If Anthony was a 50 million pound player, the difference would have been huge, you know. So yeah, I just think Osimehn hopefully. But my mind is even swaying to should we just buy Mateta and then save up for a goalkeeper? Because I think Mago tweeted this, right? I know people were like, no one cares about the goalkeeper, get yourself a striker, that's all that matters. But people don't realize that we finished 15th last year. But I think if we had a decent keeper, if we had Dahir and Go, we would have finished in the top 10. Because the amount of games previous seasons where we won't be playing well, right? We'll be playing trash. But Dahir will just keep keeping us into the game. Because you keep making these world classes and world classes and world classes. And plus, you're giving your defense a lot of confidence because you know you have a good keeper and goal. The amount of mistakes Onana made last season that cost us games, it was massive. Because to win any single match now, we basically went into it thinking we have to score at least 2 goals. Why? Because we're going to concede. Not necessarily because our defense is bad, not at all, but because we have a keeper that basically he's like we have a keeper that's basically a clown and goal. So if you do buy a Mateta, right, and maybe he isn't as good as an Osimehn or he isn't as good as a Gyokores, but at least if you can use the remaining of the money and buy yourself an Martinez, at least we are increasing the amount of goals we're going to score and reducing drastically the amount of goals we're going to concede. Let me know what you guys think about that. With Chelsea though, I think Chelsea has been a little quiet so far. I think I want to see what Chelsea eventually do because I don't think they can go into next season with Delap and Jackson as their strikers. I'm actually surprised. I'll be very, very surprised if Chelsea don't get into this whole Gyokores and Osimehn sweepstakes. I'll be expecting them to get into it. So I'm interested to see what Chelsea do. Liverpool, Verts, Gyokores, Frimpong. Like Liverpool are they're coming for the league again next season. Them and Man City this transfer window have been exceptional. Like the signings they brought them, the way they've done their business very, very early, it is very, very, it makes me so jealous. And with the Verts thing, I haven't really had my say on the whole Verts thing, the whole 150 million thing. I was arguing with one of my guys at the gym and he was like, Verts isn't the 150 million pound player, which by the way wasn't 150 million pounds. I think it was like 120 we add-ons, but he was like, how can Liverpool buy him for that amount? He's not even worth it. And what I simply explained was, whether or not you think Verts is worth 150 million pounds, right? If Verts is the player that you want, you do whatever it takes to get him. First. And two, people don't realize that when people spend this money, they don't spend the money because they think Verts is a 150 million pound player. No, you spend that because you know the years they expect to have Verts at the football club, you realize that money is going to be worth it. Because with Verts now, at the moment Verts comes and starts in the midfield, right? naturally. But even when Salah goes, Wirtz can play off the right wing. So we ultimately have a situation where Liverpool basically found their successor to Salah as their talisman for their team with Wirtz. Because Wirtz is not. Some people were saying like he possesses on the Bundesliga, like Werner was good in the Bundesliga, but he didn't translate to Premier League. Havertz, I'm like, do not compare Wirtz to Havertz or Werner. No, bro, Wirtz first of all was Bundesliga player of the year like last season. Wirtz has been performing in German national team for years. Wirtz is a player that Real Madrid have looked at. Bayern should have got him. Like, this isn't some scrub. Like, Wirtz is the real deal. That's exactly why Man City were interested. Ultimately, Man City needed more players than Liverpool. That's the reason why Man City moved away from there and ended up going for like Reinders and Cherokee and all these guys. People are saying, okay, if Man City are ducking out of a deal, then that means Man City that like to pay a lot of money, right? That if they can duck out of a deal, and then that means it was too expensive and Liverpool went and paid it. I'm like, no. It's because Liverpool don't need a lot of players. That's exactly why they can do that. Because Man City realized that they need to buy a lot of players to replace their aging stars. That's the reason why Man City went ahead and pulled away from the deal. Not because they don't think Wirtz is worth that, or not because they don't think that Wirtz is a good player. No. There was a reason why, because Man City know they need quantity over quality. But for Liverpool, they just need to find it touches just to get their team ready against win the Premier League and maybe even in Champions League next season. Right. So I don't think there's anyone I'm missing. Let me try to remember I'm missing. So if I'm missing, let me know in the comments. But the Club World Cup, I don't know. I just think it's. I saw Atletico Madrid and PSG playing last night, right? Under the sun in Las Vegas. But ultimately, it was 8 o'clock here, but like. It just gives me pre-season friendly vibes. It isn't. I don't know. I just don't see the point of it. Maybe in the knockout stage, maybe it comes better and then But for now, I don't really have an opinion on it. I just think it's nice to watch football, I guess, because there's nothing else on. So if you're like obsessed with football, like I am, at least it's something to watch. But I just don't think it is worth risking players like bodies and injuries and stuff like that over that type of tournament. I just don't think it is. So yeah, I saw a funny thing from Koke the other day. Koke, the Atletico Madrid captain, when Atletico Madrid lost 4-0 yesterday, he was like, the refs screwed them up or whatever. For starters, you lost 4-0. Like, you can't blame the refs when you lose 4-0. And plus, the only thing that happened was he fouled Dewey, right? And then Alvarez scored, and he removed the goal because it was a clear foul. And plus, PSG got a penalty that I thought was dodgy, but at the end of the day, even if that wasn't given, you'd have still lost 3-0. So what are we talking about? So yeah. So ultimately, I think that's it for me today. I'll see you guys on the next one. But before I leave, quick question though: who do you guys think should be higher up in like Ballon d'Or rankings? Or who do you think has had the better year or between Vitinha or Pedro? I don't have thoughts on that yet, but let me know. I'm interested to see what people say, because obviously Vitinha picked up another man of the match award, and people are like, Vitinha has been the best midfielder this year. I don't know. I think it might be a bit of recency bias, but I know who I'd pick. I just want to know. I want to know who you guys pick. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Let me know what you guys think about all these stories. What happens with Gyokores? Should Arsenal? Do Arsenal owners wasting time? Right? Should Arsenal go for Gyokores or should they go for Sesko? Which striker smash they go for? And just anything. Just run up the comment section. See you guys on the next one. Peace.